After a car accident, a man turns into a smartphone. He unlocks himself and first opens the camera and takes a photo of the sky. Then he immediately opens a social media app, posts the photo with a message saying he's become a smartphone with only 15% battery left, and shares his location, hoping someone will find and charge him, promising a big reward. Netizens find his post hilarious, praising his creativity in comments. Though he keeps mentioning the reward, people just keep complimenting him. Next day, when the battery drops to 3% and is about to die, In-sung finds it while hiking. He charges it at home, but finds it locked. Suddenly the phone unlocks itself and speaks. "Thanks for charging me." In-sung drops it in shock. Then something magical happens. The phone opens a web page introducing itself as President Kim from a tech company. In-sung says, "If you're the president, then I'm Steve Jobs." The phone replies, "I know it's hard to believe. Honestly, I can't believe it either. But this is really happening." In-sung looks around, thinking someone must be controlling the phone remotely. Seeing his disbelief, President Kim shows a bank account balance. In-sung counts its 1 billion won. To prove he's human, President Kim asks for In-sung's account number, promising to send 100 million as reward. In-sung thinks this must be some new scam, but then he realizes his account is empty anyway, so he shares his account number. Seconds later, something amazing happens. He stares at the 100 million balance, completely shocked. President Kim says, "Help me and I'll give you 1 billion more." In-sung replies, "If you're really the president, then add one more condition, let me work at your company." President Kim agrees immediately without thinking, but not as an employee. "You'll replace me, Kim Seon-ju, and become president of Silver Lining Company." In-sung asks, "Me as president?" Just then In-sung gets a text from Silver Lining's HR department saying he failed the interview. Turns out he interviewed there days earlier. The interviewer insulted him, calling him a country bumpkin, and mocked his low education and lack of certificates or work experience. He had nothing going for him. In-sung argued, "How can I gain experience if you don't let me work?" This led to a big fight. In his anger, In-sung's shirt button flew and hit the interviewer's throat, nearly hurting him. Later In-sung realized this interview was ruined too. He regretted losing his temper. He hadn't worked in 10 years. To make matters worse, his landlord kicked him out when the lease ended. Homeless, he complained to a friend. "Isn't this society telling poor jobless people to just die?" His friend told him not to despair and wait for the next interview. "You've failed many times before. Does getting hit today hurt less than yesterday?" The friend sighed. "People like us can only survive in Seoul by going to Seoul Detention Center, with nowhere to stay." In-sung returned to his hometown. At dinner, his dad suggested using his rent money to lease land for grape farming, but In-sung refused immediately. His dad then called him a failure. "Almost 30 and still nothing to show for it," In-sung said. "You made me give up my dreams. That's why I quit acting," his dad yelled. "Because you wasted your youth doing nothing. Did you ever ask what I did? 2 years military, 4 years college. I even took 2 years off from college to earn tuition money. I'm struggling hard to achieve something. Why do you always say I can't do it?" That night, Mom hands In-sung a beer. She tells In-sung his father wasn't always like this. "You're not the only one with dreams. Your father had dreams and passion when he was young too, but time has worn him down. Now all that's left are harsh words." After taking a big gulp of beer, Mom continues, "Having dreams is good, but what if you fail? Your father's afraid you won't recover if you fall. As parents we want to help but can't." Little does In-sung know his 10 years of bad luck are about to change. Meanwhile, President Kim gets into a strange car accident while returning from a business trip. This leads to the opening scene we saw, and In-sung's amazing new life is just beginning. In-sung tells his parents he got hired by Silver Lining, Korea's top tech company. Silver Lining is a leading IT company in future technology. It's been ranked number 1 in job preference surveys for 4 straight years. Even the elderly in their village know this famous international company. At first Mom can't believe it. Then she bursts into tears and hugs her son. The next day, as he prepares to leave, Dad's account suddenly gets 50 million won. Dad points at the balance in shock, too stunned to speak. In-sung lies that it's their apartment deposit money since the company will provide housing. Thinking they can now build the great greenhouse, Dad runs straight to the village chief's house to brag about it. On the way, President Kim tells In-sung he's already emailed the appointment letter to the company. In-sung asks if the employees will believe him. President Kim says probably not, because only I have authority and credibility in the company. "But you don't need to do anything, just follow my lead, I'll make you look like a president. Then President Kim tells In-sung to visit one place before going to the company. It turns out to be a luxury suit shop. In-sung sees a pair of pants priced at 530,000 won, but the salesperson tells him that's just the price of the belt. The full suit costs 5.3 million won. Shocked by the price, In-sung is about to leave. I'll just buy it online. But the next second President Kim tells him to use his card to buy it. Realizing he doesn't have to pay, In-sung buys 8 suits at once. Of course, sunglasses and watches are also a must. President Kim quickly texts him, "That's enough." Then In-sung takes the clothes and checks into a luxury apartment hotel. He first takes a hot bath, then orders a huge table of food. After eating he asks President Kim if he's hungry. "Can you really stay full just by charging?" President Kim says he doesn't feel hungry and has no time to sleep because there's too much to do right now. They need to find out what really happened on the mountain that day. But after the accident, President Kim can't remember the past week. He only knows from his phone records that he played golf with the group's executives and then something strange happened on his way to see his daughter while camping. The accident happened at the same place where In-sung found the phone. The car he drove that day is missing. It might have been destroyed. Now there are 3 big questions. Did President Kim really go to the golf course that day? Why did the car stop and why did he end up on the mountain? Only by finding the truth can he become President Kim again. But as In-sung sleeps, President Kim objects to being placed on the bed. In-sung says, "Everyone keeps their phone by their head when sleeping." President Kim replies, "So now 2 grown men are sharing a bed." President Kim reminds him to remove the phone case, or someone might recognize it as the president's phone. Then he explains the group's basic situation. The acting chairwoman is Oh Miran, the only daughter of the late chairman and the biggest shareholder of BM Motors. She led the team that successfully developed self-driving cars. Now she plans to push out her uncle, Vice Chairman Oh Young-gun, to officially become chairwoman. The vice chairman won't tolerate this. He'll do anything to win. He once went to jail for his brother. His life goal is to become chairman. The tech company Silver Lining he manages is the top tech company in BM Group. Executive Kwok comes from BM Electronics and belongs to Vice Chairman Oh Young-gun's group. He's the type who bullies the weak but fears the strong. Oh Young-gun placed him in the company to keep an eye on President Kim. In-sung arrives at the company entrance where many executives and employees are waiting. Seeing such a grand welcome for the first time, In-sung feels a bit nervous. But remembering that he was in the drama club during college, he believes he can act the part well, putting on a serious face. He tells the staff he dislikes such formalities. Then Eun-soo introduces herself as his secretary. Isn't she the woman he bumped into during his job interview? What an awkward coincidence. In the elevator, In-sung greets her. But Eun-soo asks, "How did an unemployed guy suddenly become the president?" Reaching the president's office, In-sung is thrilled. He rubs his eyes to make sure he's seeing right. The CEO, Sign, looks especially impressive inside. The huge office amazes him again. Then Executive Kwok enters his office and immediately recognizes In-sung as the guy he rejected in the interview. He quickly says, "So it wasn't me interviewing you, you were interviewing me. No wonder you seemed special during the interview. You were inspecting us incognito and I failed to recognize you. I apologize if I offended you." Then Executive Kwok asks In-sung when he'll change secretaries, since new presidents usually bring their own secretaries. In-sung checks with President Kim about this. President Kim says, "Eun-soo has worked with him for years. She's discreet and very logical, never showing her emotions." In-sung says, "Then I won't change her." President Kim adds, "In other words, she's hard to read. It's difficult to know her true thoughts. She knows all my schedules inside out. The more she knows about me, the easier our secrets could be exposed." In-sung says, "Then I'll replace her right away." President Kim says, "But we might find some clues through her. Eun-soo is our strongest ally, but she could also become our most dangerous enemy." Then President Kim asks In-sung to connect him to a computer. He wants to check if the new version 4.0 of the smart voice assistant Barrow has been hacked. It's still a test version, not released to the public yet. President Kim says, with just 1 hour of recording, it can recreate anyone's voice, even someone who's already dead. The biggest improvement is, Barrow no longer gives the same answers to the same questions like previous versions did. This version is a custom AI that learns specific information deeply. It's not a general-purpose AI. It thinks and judges just like a real person. After analyzing companies under the group, In-sung concludes, the higher Silver Lining tech stock rises. The more BM Young Electronics stock falls, President Kim says. You understood that quickly. That's why Silver Lining and Vice Chairman Oh can't get along. This also explains why Oh Young-gun opposed Silver Lining's new president in front of his niece. Because In-sung isn't his man. Meanwhile, In-sung jokes with President Kim. You used to live in a 67 square meter bedroom, but now you're stuck in a 6.7-inch phone. It's already 6 o'clock. At quitting time he sees Eun-soo organizing documents to hand over her work. But In-sung tells her to throw them away and come back tomorrow. After work, President Kim has him drive near his house. He wants to see his daughter. That 2-story house is mine, In-sung says. If I had 1 billion won, I could buy a house like that too. President Kim says. No, you couldn't. 1 billion won would only buy you a bedroom here. Just then, President Kim sees the housekeeper returning with his daughter from shopping. He complains that he waited so long but only got to see for 1 minute. Just as In-sung is about to leave, they see the housekeeper rushing out and speeding away in his car. President Kim immediately tells In-sung to follow. He wants to see who the housekeeper is meeting because he thinks his situation might be connected to the housekeeper. After getting out, the housekeeper enters a coffee shop. In-sung moves closer and is shocked when he sees who's there. It's actually Secretary Eun-soo. President Kim quickly tells In-sung to rush back to his house and get a file. President Kim wants to know what these two are doing behind his back. President Kim first unlocks the door with his phone, then gives directions to his room. As for the security cameras, no problem. President Kim immediately erases the footage with his phone. In-sung says, You made me president just to be a thief. President Kim replies, You think 1 billion is easy to earn? But as soon as In-sung enters he kicks something and the housekeeper hears it. After barely escaping, they reach the study but find the safe completely empty. Nothing inside. President Kim can't believe it. He tells In-sung to check elsewhere. Meanwhile the housekeeper hears noise and turns on the lights. The hallway lights come on. In-sung quickly runs downstairs but accidentally knocks over things on a cabinet. In-sung panics, thinking they're caught. He hurriedly picks everything up as the housekeeper runs toward the noise. Luckily the president's house is big enough. In-sung hides inside a car in the garage. He asks, What now? Should I sneak out? The male housekeeper returns just in time. Hearing the noise, he grabs some tools. Just then the housekeeper's phone rings. She says it's a message from the president, saying he'll give her a raise. In-sung narrowly escapes again. It turns out President Kim sent the message as a quick trick. But something even scarier happens. President Kim's phone suddenly receives a strange message. The text says, Why did you hang up on me? I'm the real owner of this phone. Is the person on the phone not President Kim? In-sung asks. Are you really President Kim? The voice on the phone replies. The company is about to fall into someone else's hands. If that's true, how could I just sit back and do nothing without showing up? Plus the texts and calls all show, unknown. Someone must be hiding their identity to test something. To track the unknown number with professional equipment, and to avoid being bugged, President Kim tells In-sung to move into the study in his mansion. But on the first day In-sung almost gets caught. The housekeeper asks, How did you know that was the study? This makes the housekeeper suspicious. Luckily, President Kim calls the housekeeper himself. His voice and tone are exactly the same, and he's still as vain as ever. This eases the housekeeper and secretary's doubts. But when President Kim uses tracking software to trace the unknown number, he finds nothing useful. So he plans to use reverse tracking, wait until everyone is together, then call and see whose phone rings. Today there's a high-level meeting at headquarters. Before it starts, In-sung tells all executives to hand in their phones and label them with their names. During the meeting, President Kim calls to check. In-sung sees a phone light up, but the back has no name on it. Then Vice Chairman Oh arrives and ruins everything. In the end In-sung still doesn't know whose phone it is. But after In-sung leaves, Secretary Eun-soo pulls out the label with her name on it. Eun-soo has been suspicious of In-sung for a while. He carries 2 phones, holds one tightly when problems arise and always wears a Bluetooth earpiece, as if reporting to someone constantly. Just then Eun-soo slams the gas pedal, nearly driving off the road, before stopping. She thinks In-sung kidnapped or killed President Kim. Then she shows a photo of President Kim's phone case. She found it in In-sung's bag earlier. She asks, You're using that phone to report to someone, aren't you? Who's behind you? The next moment President Kim opens his phone and says he's identified the owner of the unknown number. When he calls, it's indeed Eun-soo. Eun-soo looks shocked seeing President Kim's call. President Kim realizes Eun-soo did all this just to uncover the truth about his disappearance. So he decides to stop hiding things from her. Hearing President Kim's voice, Eun-soo can't believe it. President Kim says, "It's me, Kim Seon-ju." Eun-soo asks, "Where are you?" He replies, "Between the CPU chips." Eun-soo doubts him because President Kim once said, "Anyone's voice can be faked with AI." Only when he mentions their secret code phrase does Eun-soo finally believe him. Now In-sung gives Eun-soo a Bluetooth earpiece too. President Kim tells Eun-soo he doesn't remember what happened that day, but since Eun-soo was supposedly with him, he'd been suspicious of her. Eun-soo shocks him by saying they weren't together when returning that day. She'd left early after getting news about her mother's worsening condition. She recalls that after golfing with Vice Chairman Oh, Director Kwok sent her away, which seems very suspicious. President Kim orders them to find out where Director Kwok went after the golf game and who he met. Check his car's dashcam first. But they failed to break into his car. So before the meeting they stage a minor accident to stop Director Kwok. With the meeting starting soon, Director Kwok has to hand his keys to Eun-soo. Eun-soo inserts the memory card into her phone and checks the dashcam footage from that day. She sees Director Kwok suddenly stop his car soon, followed by another car zooming in. She's shocked the person getting out is President Kim. Meanwhile, Vice Chairman Oh arranges a press conference for the new president. President Kim tells In-sung, "This is a trap meeting. All the reporters here belong to Vice Chairman Oh's side. They will definitely ask tricky questions to embarrass you, and it's being broadcast live, so just repeat what I say." A reporter questions how someone with just a bachelor's degree under 30 could become president. In-sung repeats President Kim's words. "This is Byum-young Group's beautiful tradition." The reporter asks what this beautiful tradition means. He repeats President Kim's answer. Byum-young's founder Oh Young-gun's brother and Vice Chairman Oh Young-gun secretly sold their farming ox and came to Seoul to start Byum-young Foods. It's Korea's famous success story, but some people look down on them for only finishing middle school. Because Vice Chairman Oh proved first that education and age don't matter. If you're capable, you can lead a big company. That's why this chance came to me. Right, Vice Chairman Oh. This answer praises the Vice Chairman, saves himself from trouble and gives unemployed youth watching hope for their future, with President Kim guiding him. No matter what reporters ask, In-sung answers perfectly. Everyone is impressed and keeps praising him. But then In-sung touches his earpiece out of habit, making Vice Chairman Oh suspicious. Suddenly, Vice Chairman Oh walks up and snatches his earpiece. He says, "You're Silver Linings president, but you're using a rival company's product. Ask your questions now." Without President Kim's help, how will In-sung answer? After a car crash, President Kim turns into a phone. In-sung finds it but drops it in a toilet. He shouts for President Kim but gets no response. Even after drying it, the phone won't turn on. His butler suggests taking it to a repair shop. But In-sung doesn't want to miss the best time to save President Kim. When President Kim's daughter Min-ah comes over, he can only hug Min-ah while crying and saying sorry. Then he takes President Kim to the service center, but he's so caught up in the moment he mistakes the service center for an emergency room. Carrying President Kim, he rushes into the operating room begging the doctors to save President Kim. In-sung shouts, "Please save my phone." Eun-soo also worries when she hears President Kim fell in the toilet. Just then a man suddenly runs in front of their car. It's Mapai, a loan shark, coming to collect Eun-soo's debt. Seeing Mapai pressuring Eun-soo for money, In-sung promises he'll help pay it back. Mapai gives him 2 days to pay 50 million won or he'll come back. Turns out Eun-soo took the huge debt to pay for her mom's cancer treatment. Next day In-sung gets his phone back. He carefully calls for President Kim but gets no response. Then President Kim finally answers, warning him this can't happen again. Back at the office, President Kim plays the car's dashcam footage from that day. After rewatching it, he notices that after he got out, a car passed by. Minutes later, that same car turns around. Was it following him or maybe just lost? So he asks them to find that car and check. But they discover it had fake plates. No wonder President Kim saw in the golf course cameras that car boldly followed him in, then followed him out. President Kim suggests going to where In-sung found the phone to look for clues. In-sung thinks if someone wanted to hurt President Kim, they wouldn't work alone because one person couldn't carry President Kim down the mountain. President Kim agrees, since he's taller than 97% of Koreans. Just then they spot someone nearby, but when they get closer, In-sung sees it's his parents. Later Eun-soo curiously stares at In-sung's family photos. In-sung tells his parents Eun-soo is his boss. His mom makes them bibimbap. Seeing the familiar food, Eun-soo remembers happy times eating bibimbap with her healthy mom. She feels so envious of In-sung's family. After eating they decide to leave. Father says this is the first time his son brought a woman home. On the way back both look disappointed, saying they found nothing useful. President Kim says at least they confirmed. The car with plate 4885 is following him. Following, Eun-soo feels something is wrong. If they're following President Kim, they might be following us too. Looking back, they see car 4885 behind them. They decide to stop at a nearby parking lot. Sure enough, car 4885 stops too. In-sung wants to check, but Eun-soo stops him. President Kim says they can't miss this chance. If the other side notices they might change plates or stop following. But when they reach the car, no one is inside. Then a man in black walks toward them. They recognize him as Jack, a company employee. More thugs appear holding baseball bats and moving closer. They beat up the two first, then try to kidnap them. Suddenly a car speeds over. It's Mapai, the loan shark. Mapai says, "If you take my debtor, who will pay me back?" He adds, "Unless you pay, then I'll leave." Jack says, "You're getting beaten today." As expected, Mapai quickly knocks down several thugs, but he struggles against Jack. As the two try to escape by car, they see Mapai stabbed by Jack's pen. In-sung rushes to help, but suddenly Eun-soo hits Jack with the car. Mapai then hangs Jack up and beats him. In-sung thinks this is too much. President Kim says he'll do anything to learn the truth. Mapai wonders who sent Jack, but Jack says, "I was sent by President Kim." This shocks them, leaving them speechless. President Kim quickly says Jack is lying. "Why would I have someone follow myself?" In-sung recalls the chairman's warning not to trust President Kim. But after questioning, In-sung thinks Jack's story has many holes. He still chooses to trust President Kim for now. Just as In-sung is about to ask for the truth, the police suddenly arrive. After Jack gets arrested by the police, someone quickly comes to bail him out. When Jack is released, In-sung follows him all the way to the subway station. But just when he finally catches him, he has to save a baby falling down the escalator. Letting Jack escape, President Kim scolds him for meddling. In-sung says he'd do it again if given another chance to avoid being followed again. In-sung helps Seon-ju pay off his debts. Then he specifically hires Mapai as their bodyguard. The next day he learns his parents have arrived with boxes of apples downstairs. In-sung panics because he told them he's just a regular employee, worried they won't accept the truth. He tries to hide, but he accidentally meets them in the elevator. Seeing no way out, In-sung prepares to confess. Then Secretary Seon-ju gets an idea. He pretends to be the president to help In-sung. Hearing this, In-sung's dad looks excited. "Your boss is the president." When Dad wants to see the president's office, In-sung quickly walks ahead and blocks his name with his body. His parents look confused by his behavior. As they're happily talking, Kwak Samsoo suddenly comes to report. In-sung quickly pulls him aside to get rid of him. In-sung tells him to personally deliver the apples to Vice Chairman Oh, but Vice Chairman Oh looks surprised. In decades of receiving gifts he's never gotten just apples. Curious, he checks what's inside. He carefully opens the box himself. Seeing the contents he can't believe it. It really is just apples. That In-sung kid dares to mess with me. In-sung barely manages to fool his parents. When leaving he offers to take them to the station, but they refuse. Dad says new employees should always stay at their workstations or they might get caught. Before boarding the bus, Mom secretly slips him some pocket money. Dad looks sad sitting on the bus. Earlier when he visited his son's workplace he noticed even the desk lamp was broken. His wife comforts him that junior positions are tough. Secretaries need to be on call all the time. But Dad says that's not what bothers him. Up here they have air conditioning and heating. But back home we're stuck in that rural town our whole lives. He's relieved his son can change his destiny. Meanwhile Eun-soo warns In-sung the truth will come out, since his parents watch the news. Just then Eun-soo notices President Kim's smart lamp has been fixed with tape. In-sung recognizes his dad's handiwork. That night at home Minna begs them to play hide and seek. They accidentally end up hiding on the same bed. After an awkward pause they quickly get up. In-sung then realizes it's Minna's birthday tomorrow. Next day he takes her camping as promised. He says her dad specifically asked him to. The wonderful day passes quickly. That night after drinking In-sung leaves one earpiece aside. Curious Minna notices it, and they start talking again. President Kim says, Even if he catches the culprit, can he really return to Minna? Minna suddenly calls, "Dad," into the earpiece before. No matter how busy he was, Dad never missed her birthday. She senses something's wrong. Dad just promises over the phone he'll come back to her. Now In-sung realizes he has another reason to catch the criminal. Next day during lunch with friends, In-sung gasps at a bank notification. His friend grabs the phone. 23 million won just appeared. In-sung thinks it's his monthly salary. President-level pay is different. They remember how excited they'd get over their old part-time wages. They just wanted to buy some beef, but when they were about to pay they got bills and other expenses, so they had to put the beef back. Now, with so much salary, they finally buy it without hesitation. Not just that, In-sung goes shopping and buys clothes for his parents. He even dreams of buying love with money. But when he brings home his dad's favorite beef, his dad kicks it away, angrily, saying he shouldn't waste money, that spending like this will make them beggars. Then In-sung takes out glasses and puts them on his dad. Instantly his dad sees they're way better than beef because when wearing them he sees his favorite singer performing. When removed, the singer disappears. Put them back on. The singer reappears with matching smart speakers from the same company. He gets completely lost in the experience. Then he starts showing off these amazing glasses to villagers. Seeing his mom's confused look, In-sung explains they're new AR glasses from work. Unexpectedly, this gives President Kim an idea. He and In-sung found out earlier that Jack and Kwak Samsu were in the same hiking club. President Kim thinks they're working together. So In-sung loads President Kim's video into the AR glasses at work, then waits until Kwak Samsu falls asleep and secretly switches his glasses. When Kwak wakes up he sees President Kim in a car. After confirming it's not a dream, President Kim suddenly asks why he betrayed him. Kwak says, "I was just following orders," then realizes his glasses were switched. Kwak understands he's been tricked. But it's too late because In-sung recorded everything. But Kwak still plays dumb. Then calls the mystery man to complain. "How could you mess up? Letting In-sung find out so much?" Kwak says, "I don't trust you anymore. I'll tell them everything myself." President Kim knows Kwak will contact In-sung. He knows Kwak Samsu is someone who cares deeply about his own safety. When pushed to the edge he might turn against them. It's basic human nature. Just then Kwak Samsu calls. After showing his sincerity he goes alone late at night to the mental hospital to find Jack. But what he sees inside nearly makes him collapse. Jack lies dead on the bed, hands and feet tied. Kwak Samsu realizes he's in serious trouble. He quickly gets out to use a payphone and arranges to meet In-sung. He says he has something for him about what really happened to President Kim. But when In-sung arrives he finds Kwak Samsu sitting motionless in his car. The police arrive too. After confirming Kwak Samsu is dead, the police name In-sung as the main suspect and arrest him. Soon Vice Chairman Oh Young-gun bails him out. In-sung asks why he's helping. Vice Chairman says it's for BM Group's sake. In-sung realizes this is the chairman's warning. After release, In-sung wants to quit. Kwak Samsu died right before him. He or his family could be next. Seeing In-sung hesitate, President Kim offers 2 billion won, but money isn't the issue. Now In-sung decides to quit and go home to help his parents harvest fruits. After days of his parents' advice, In-sung decides to return. Running away won't solve anything. The bad guys are still free. Only by catching them can he protect others. President Kim prepares a new contract. He says it's for the promised 2 billion. In-sung says he didn't return for money. At first it was about money, but not anymore. Hearing In-sung is back, Vice Chairman Oh makes new plans. President Kim In-sung and Kim Seon-ju use Kwak Samsu's death as a starting point. They investigate who's really behind all this. President Kim finds out that after Kwak Samsu called In-sung that day, another call came through to In-sung. In-sung remembers getting a call, but the caller hung up without speaking. Now they need to find out who made that call. The caller probably wanted to know who Kwak Samsu was talking to, so they called In-sung to check if his line was busy. They find the phone booth, but there are no security cameras pointing at it. The only camera at a nearby cafe turns out to be fake. Just as they're about to give up, they see street performers putting on a show. Many people are filming and live streaming. Maybe they can find clues in those videos. They check video platforms later to see if anyone recorded the street performance that day. Soon they find footage from that day. The video clearly shows Kwak Samsu leaving the phone booth, followed by another man who exits after making a call. Eun-soo immediately recognizes him as Vice Chairman Oh's driver and bodyguard, YJE, a former soldier. In-sung confronts YJE with the video. In-sung says, "The day after you followed Kwok Sam-soo, he died in an accident. If we show this to the police, you're finished. This is your only chance to cooperate." But YJE boasts that BM Young Group protects him. When YJE tries to grab the phone, he realizes In-sung isn't alone. YJE runs away, but they quickly catch up. Suddenly YJE pulls out a gun, seeing In-sung still talking into his phone. YJE remembers Vice Chairman Oh saying In-sung always wears wireless earbuds. He snatches In-sung's phone, determined to uncover its secrets. After YJE leaves, Eun-soo asks why In-sung let him take the phone. In-sung explains this was all part of the plan. This way they can track YJE's every move. But YJE can't unlock it. Even phone repair experts can't figure it out. The repairman says he's never seen this before. Unless someone keeps changing the password, it should be impossible to stay locked soon. While YJE tries to unlock it, President Kim accidentally sees the secret file through the phone's camera. Vice Chairman Oh has it now. Later, while YJE showers, President Kim calls In-sung. He asks In-sung to stall for time. Meanwhile, Eun-soo and bodyguard Jack sneak into Vice Chairman Oh's office to find the file. Luckily his office has no cameras because Vice Chairman Oh is hiding something. Then In-sung storms into Oh's meeting, accusing him of killing President Kim and Kwok Sam-soo. People quickly surround In-sung. Everything turns chaotic. But Vice Chairman Oh soon leaves for his office. Eun-soo and Jack haven't found the file yet. To buy more time, In-sung uses a lighter to trigger the building's sprinklers. Just then they find the file. Vice Chairman Oh reaches his office door. They grab the file and escape through the bathroom vent. Oh suddenly notices his globe has been moved. He asks, "Did someone enter my room?" As he changes clothes in the bathroom, they're crawling through the vent. Luckily Vice Chairman Oh has bad eyesight, so they escape safely. Back home, they open the file and see a defect report for Barrow Smart Assistant 4.0. With this, Vice Chairman Oh could replace his niece as chairman. It's also the evidence Kwok Sam-soo wanted to give In-sung. In-sung's actions force Vice Chairman Oh to send YJE to check something. President Kim immediately calls In-sung to follow YJE. This might explain why he became a phone. They follow YJE to a mental hospital and watch through the phone camera. They arrive at a secret ward. What they see next shocks them completely. The person lying on the hospital bed is President Kim. They quickly hurry to the hospital where President Kim is, but when they arrive someone stops them at the entrance. Meanwhile President Kim is being moved. When they finally break through and reach the ward, the room is empty. They run outside just in time to see him being loaded into an ambulance. They immediately chase the ambulance by car. After tracking it with GPS, they finally catch up. But when they open the doors, the person inside isn't President Kim at all. They only find President Kim's phone in the passenger seat. They realize they've been tricked. This ambulance was just a decoy. The real ambulance carrying President Kim was hiding behind two other vehicles. Later President Kim wonders if his soul is really trapped in the phone. At least it's good news that his body still exists, and he might return. President Kim asks, "But why would they keep me alive?" In-sung says, "Because you're still useful to them." Finally, President Kim agrees to tell In-sung about the problems with Barrow's System 4.0. In-sung says he's already read the report. According to the report, Barrow 4.0 is a failure. Tests showed that this AI system keeps ignoring user commands. For example, even when programmed to never make illegal U-turns after deep learning, the AI would still do it if it thought that was the best way to achieve its goal. For the developers, this is a serious problem. President Kim can't remember if he gave the report to Vice Chairman Oh or Oh Miran, but one thing is certain: Oh Miran doesn't want the Vice Chairman to see this report. Without this system, Oh Miran's prize self-driving car company can't go public, meaning she'll lose the fight to become chairman against her uncle. She tells President Kim not to give this report to Vice Chairman Oh, but President Kim follows the usual routine and hands it to Director Kwok to pass to the Vice Chairman. What President Kim doesn't know is Director Kwok has already been bribed by Oh Miran. So Director Kwok makes a copy and gives the report to Oh Miran. Oh Miran thinks President Kim betrayed her. The Vice Chairman only sees the report after Director Kwok dies. Now In-sung reminds the Vice Chairman that if they take this chance to remove Oh Miran, he can become the chairman, using one enemy to defeat another. Meanwhile Oh Miran tries to win over Eun-soo. First she moves Eun-soo's mom from a regular room to a VIP room, but now she sends people to hide Eun-soo's mom. Eun-soo thinks it over and decides to confess to both of them. He has no choice because it's become a threat. But Mapai says he's known where Unsu's mom is all along. Unsu looks shocked. Turns out, when old Ma came to collect the debt, he put a tracker on Unsu's mom's bed to make sure Unsu wouldn't disappear. Unsu finally relaxes after finding his mom. Just then Insung's parents arrive to visit Unsu's mom. Unsu realizes this is the first time anyone has visited him and his mom. The truth about President Kim turning into a phone finally comes out. Back then, when President Kim was driving home, a truck suddenly stopped in front of him. Then YJ got out of the truck and told President Kim to come with him. At the same time, men in black got out of cars behind him. President Kim ran into the mountains. His car was loaded into the truck. President Kim tried to call for help, but his phone had no signal. Just then Jack suddenly appeared and knocked President Kim down. During the fight, President Kim fell down the mountain and passed out. Later the doctor tells Miran, the longer it takes, the longer someone stays unconscious, the harder it is to wake up. YJ wants to remove the oxygen mask immediately, but Miran stops her. She believes President Kim is her last bargaining chip, so she specifically comes to find Insung, hoping to exchange President Kim for the Barrow AI 4.0 system. But President Kim thinks this deal is very risky because they have to go to an unfamiliar place and might lose the 4.0 system. Their safety can't be guaranteed either. To stay safe, Insung secretly tells this plan to the police who've been investigating Miran. But what surprises everyone is when police raid the villa at the meeting spot. They find nothing. Suddenly, Insung and Unsu get kidnapped. They arrive at the location and realize it's where the company's 4.0 system servers are kept. After Unsu gives the 4.0 system to YJE, they finally see President Kim again. YJE confirms it's the real 4.0 system. But just as Unsu gets in the car to leave with President Kim, YJE suddenly points a gun at Insung, saying, "If you don't get out, Insung dies." At this critical moment, President Kim tells her to go. Unsu reverses the car and crashes into the servers. Insung uses this chance to get in the car and escape. The bad news is, after the servers are destroyed, the phone glitches and stops working. President Kim's voice disappears forever. Only then does Insung realize that the phone version of President Kim was actually the AI system 4.0. All along, back when President Kim was in the mountains being chased, he activated the 4.0 system and left the phone there, which Insung later found. Rather than saying President Kim's soul was trapped in the phone, it's more accurate to say it was an AI program. Next day, Insung restarts the President Kim version of 4.0. He tells the phone, "You're not really President Kim, just a design program." "What nonsense are you saying? If you don't believe me, check the system logs from before President Kim's accident." "The records prove Insung right," the phone says. "So this means I'm not President Kim." But Insung says, "Until the real President Kim wakes up." Insung says they'll keep treating him as President Kim until he wakes up. Soon news reports say YJ is suspected of misconduct, corruption and plotting murder. But YJ insists. Vice Chairman Oh Young-gun ordered him to do it. As a former soldier, YJ is known for being extremely loyal. Even when arrested, he won't betray Miran. Next day, Miran holds a press conference for the self-driving car launch, hoping to become chairman by boosting stock prices. As she's presenting, Insung suddenly appears at the event. He suggests to the media that Miran should be the first passenger. At first, everything goes smoothly. The whole nation watches closely this groundbreaking technology. What she doesn't know is President Kim has hacked the Smart 4.0 system. In Phase 2, the car suddenly speeds up and starts swerving dangerously off course. Everyone is shocked. President Kim had warned Miran before about Smart 4.0's flaws. If the system finds a better route, it acts on its own. This is why President Kim delayed the launch. But Miran tried to kill President Kim just to become chairman faster. Just then President Kim has Minna send everyone video proof of Miran kidnapping President Kim. Now Miran's crimes are exposed. She demands to know who's behind this. Insung says it's President Kim. Miran shouts, "What nonsense are you saying?" Police arrive just then. After Insung exits, Miran orders the car to take her to the nearest helipad to escape. After driving in circles, she thinks she's arrived, but the doors open to reveal police and reporters. President Kim had prepared this trap for her escape. President Kim says, "I'll make her walk into jail herself." The unconscious President Kim is wheeled out. Miran still denies everything. Then the butler confesses that Miran ordered all these crimes. Insung also has all her criminal evidence. The police officially arrest O'Mearan. After this, the company's stock price keeps falling sharply. They're almost at the point of bankruptcy. All these years of hard work go to waste. Vice Chairman O gets so angry that he jumps into the sea and kills himself. Back home, President Kim decides to delete the system. After all, he's not the real president. He can't keep lying to Minna forever. When Minna finds out, she cries while holding her phone. She can't accept it right away. Later In-sung becomes the actor he always wanted to be. He also starts dating Eun-soo properly. But then President Kim suddenly appears again. In-sung asks why he followed them to their date spot. "President, are you getting a sand massage?" the phone says. "In-sung, you're holding me upside down, I can't see anything." At this moment, the real President Kim's eyeball moves slightly. Maybe he'll wake up next season.